Alright folks, this is another cool tutorial by Mr. Campbell for making logos and stuff. So I'm in Adobe Illustrator, which is great for logos because it works with shapes and text real nicely. So in this one we're going to use, let's see, I haven't even figured it out yet, I better pick. Let's see, DC Shoes, Nebraska. Let's work with Nebraska logo on this one. This is University of Nebraska. Alright, now that's clearly, if I zoom out you can see my artboard. I want this to fill my artboard because I want to make it as big as I can, and as I'm shaping it up, if I don't use the shift key it does this and it gets all weird. I want to keep it a nice big square shape. Looks nice on a football field, looks good on a jersey, on a hat, you know, all good stuff. Now again, I'm just using this as a reference, and the purpose of this exercise isn't necessarily about making the N or making the logo or making it, you know, we're trying to learn how to use shapes to build this up, and there's a couple of ways we can get this done. But I'm going to first start by hiding this a little bit. Dim the images down to like 30%. There we go. So the reason I do that, I lock that one up, make a new layer, and now I've got two layers, one of which has my original tracing logo and one of which has nothing yet because I still need to draw. Okay, we're going to do this with shapes. There's some vague chance that we might have a font that'll work for this. I'm just going to drag in here and type a capital N, which is very small now because it's 12-point font. So I'm going to crank it up to a larger size. If I use the character panel, sometimes that helps me make better choices. Let's just choose a number. Let's see, 72. Let's try like 480 because I want to fill up my area. And that's not even close on the font. So now I'm going to choose type, font, and there is a couple fonts that might be in the ballpark, so I'm just going to check just to see if that's the easier, softer way on this. Let's see. There's one called Copperplate. Probably not. There are a couple of fonts out there that you can find, and in a separate tutorial I'll show you how to install fonts and stuff, but I think we don't have one that's going to work for this. Although if we start with that's interesting. Yeah, that's not quite right. This is a serif font, which means it has those little blocky embellishments on the end, but it's a real curvy one, where the one we're looking at is more blocky and collegiate. So you could find a collegiate font that'll fit, or in this case, you know what, just draw with rectangles. Okay, let's start with this one. I'm going to get the width figured out first, and then I'm going to zoom up, move it up with the space bar to move while I draw, and then I'm going to bring it down. Now that's the representative size. I want to keep that one, so if I Alt Shift drag it right, now I've got the same width on both those pieces, which is kind of essential that I get that right. Now I think, and I don't know yet, I think let's all drag that one over. Let's see if this fits for those spots also, if that's the right size. Too tall. So let's just bring it down. Too wide. Okay, let's do it this way, and let's drag that one down. So whenever I find the right size, that's the piece I want to use, I'm going to Alt drag it to reuse rather than recreate. Okay, Alt drag that one up over there. Make it fit. I suspect that this is the one I'm going to want to use over there because it's sort of the corresponding spot. Ah, it's too tall. This is a little bit inconsistent in places. Now before I move, oh, you can see it's sticking up here. I notice as I go up here that I've got some shapes that are not happy with each other. So let's click on this one. Let's bring down the size just a smidge on the height. I want to line those up. Okay. Zoom back out, and with these two shapes, you know, it wouldn't hurt to inspect this a little bit. So as I zoom that up, if I use the space bar, I can move the pieces around while I draw. Now this is inconsistent in the original design because this side's lower than this side, so I'm going to stick to my version. What I'm going to do, let's zoom up, and I can use the space bar to move around. Yeah, pretty good. Look over here, happy. Look up here. Let's make that just a smidge wider, even though theirs is so inconsistent that mine could easily be right. Okay, and you know what we should also do, just to keep our design tight, is we should take these two pieces and use Align to Selection to, where's my Align panel? Find it in the Windows menu. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to align these to the right. Now it may not move much, but what that means is that those have, and this is going to be aligned left, so they're perfectly aligned. Now the inside parts are going to be covered up by something else, so we're not too worried about that. Okay, let's make a copy of this piece, and what we're going to do is skew the shape. So if I edit, copy, and edit, paste in front. Not a bad idea to change the color of this one, just so I can see which one is which. Notice that we have no stroke on my letters. That's very important. Let's now use the shear tool. No, rotate, reflect. Where is it? There it is, the shear tool. Now I'm going to shear this from the bottom. So I move that rotation point that was in the middle to the top, and I'm just going to like lean this bad boy over. So close, yet so far. Let's, golly, how do we fix this? What are we going to do? Make it taller. Get the shear tool again. Notice that right now the center point's in the middle, which might work, but I want to move it down here. And then lean this one over so the bottom stays put. I want that just a smidge wider. Now, if I just smack this together, I'm going to have a couple of issues because right here, there's an overlap between my points. So I'm just going to move that point over there to match, and I'm going to move this one to that corner to match. So if I use the space bar, another cool tool is you can use the navigator panel. And the navigator looks like this, and it's a little tiny map. So now I can just drag my little map gadget over there, and I can arrange these points as I see fit in my nefarious little scheme. Yes, there it is. I love Illustrator. So much fun. Okay, double click to zoom out. And now I have all the shapes I need to make the Nebraska logo. Were we done? Nowhere near it. I need to first take all these pieces and use, yeah, you got it, the Pathfinder to unite the pieces. But bam, Nebraska's not blue, big knucklehead. Let's change this to red. And I think, you know what, if we look at the original, it's kind of a darker red. So if I, instead of using the swatches, actually pick my color, I'm going to go a smidge darker. Probably somewhere there's a design standard that tells me exactly what color that should be. And as I notice this, I notice I'm a little bit out of line there. And in the end, I'm not going to see the tracing image. But I'm moving down, not over. I'm not moving left to make that angle work better, because if I move left, this stroke gets out of line. I want that perfectly vertical. Okay. So almost there, but not quite. Now, there's an offset here. There's a couple ways to do this, but I want that to be definitely white. Oops, I got the same issue there that I had. Let's move that one up. Gotta pay attention. Gotta pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to give it a stroke around the outside of white. You know what? I'm not going to see white, so I'm going to go with blue for a minute. And if I bump up the size of the stroke, my goal is to make the stroke big enough. Wow, that was way too big. Let's go back here. I want it to go all the way to the edge of that line there. Okay, because what I'm going to do to that is I'm going to put an outline on that as well. So let's take this. Now we're going to do a special trick. Object, expand, and what that does is it turns that stroke around the outside, that center line shape, into a separate piece, question mark. Okay, just made it a separate. Let's see. Oh, I just deleted it. It disappeared. Control Z, undo. When things go south on you, use that. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is ungroup. Yes. Now notice that when I ungrouped it, I now have an outline and a fill, and they're separate. So I'm going to take the outline, and I'm going to make it, oh, it's an outline shape also. So where it was a centerline piece, now it's an outline piece. So I can take this and apply a stroke to it as well. And I'm going to use the same color. What's the color? I don't know. The color is specifically named and officially BF1D29. I can copy that because I'm lazy that way. And now for the stroke on this, I'm going to paste the same color in there, which is a huge time saver and does not tax my memory at all. Let's bring up that line a little bit more. Very good. And still, what is that? What should that shape there be? That should be white. So let's go here, and now it's white. Oh my gosh, it's almost perfect. Yes, you too can make the Nebraska logo. Let's get rid of the shape, the tracing image, and it looks like I'm pretty much there. If I want to get really intense about it, I might want to inspect the layering and see what changes if I move stuff around, but it pretty much works. So from a couple basic shapes, we built a letter, the letter N. If this was Sesame Street, but did we make a mistake right here? Check it out. There's a bit of a jog right there, and you want to pay attention to those kinds of things in case you can fix them. What should we do? Should we remove this point, which will make this line out of line, or should we take this point and move it over? I'm saying let's move it over. Oh, too far. Want to keep that angle nice, okay? Always inspect your work. Go over it with a fine-tooth comb. If you need to back up, you can always push Control-Z or go back through the exercise to figure out where you made a mistake. So pay attention to those kinds of shapes, inspect your image, look at your lines, check your angles and stuff like that, and you're good to go. Peace out.